When the U.S. took possession of Puerto Rico in 1898 as a result of the Spanish-American War, American business interests saw a great opportunity, and before you knew it, a plan was put into action. This plan would not only dispossess the island's people of their land, but it would also decrease their purchasing power, increase their cost of living, and increase poverty on the island. It all began with the Foraker Act of 1900, which prohibited Puerto Rico from negotiating trade treaties with any foreign country and from setting its own tariffs or trade regulations. The commercial benefits to the U.S. were immediate. Within a few years, Puerto Rico's total trade with the U.S. would rise significantly, reaching 95% by 1930. However, Puerto Rico would not benefit. As a result of this American trade monopoly on the island, Puerto Ricans would be charged 15% higher for American products, which were basically the only ones available. The Foraker Act also established the first American civilian government on the island, which included an American-appointed governor and an 11-member executive council. The first U.S.-appointed civilian governor of Puerto Rico was Charles Herbert Allen, who served from 1900 to 1901. When Allen came into office, the government's revenue for Puerto Rico was raised among Puerto Ricans themselves, mostly from tariffs, sales taxes, and property taxes, as it is today. During Allen's tenure as governor of the island, the annual revenue equaled 4.4 million pesos, which was the same amount the Spanish had spent in 1897. However, a huge chunk of expenses that included a Spanish military garrison and money for the Catholic Church were no longer in the budget since Spain was no longer in charge. This meant that Allen had a substantial surplus of money to work with. And God knows the people on the island, especially the farmers, needed that surplus since they were suffering from the effects of a devastating hurricane that hit the island in 1899, Hurricane San Ciriaco. Governor Allen, for his part, could have cared less about the best interest for the people of the island. He even refused any significant relief for the farmers. Instead of helping the farmers or making any needed infrastructure and education investments, Allen actually directed the money in the budget to no-bid contracts for American businessmen, railroad subsidies for U.S.-owned sugar plantations, and extremely high salaries for the U.S.-appointed members of the island's government, which were predominantly Americans themselves. And if he did make any infrastructure investment on the island, the contract was usually awarded to one of his cronies who would charge twice the amount for the project. Also in 1900, the Hollander Act was passed by the U.S.-appointed treasurer of Puerto Rico, Jacob Hollander. The law imposed a tax on landowners. Keep in mind that farmers had not yet recovered from the devastating effects of the hurricane, and this additional tax only deepened their troubles. This law was supposedly intended to raise revenue for the island's government to better serve the people. But not only did it increase a burden on the farmers, it also had a negative effect on the value of the Puerto Rican peso. The U.S. authorities artificially devalued the peso by setting its exchange rate at 60 American cents, which meant that every Puerto Rican lost 40% of their savings, wealth, and property overnight. This currency devaluation was done to favor American business interests and to facilitate the transition from the peso to the dollar as the official currency of Puerto Rico. The devaluation of the peso reduced the purchasing power of the Puerto Ricans and increased the cost of living, leading to economic hardship and social unrest. What followed was even worse. According to Nelson A. Dennis, with an island full of desperate farmers, a predatory lender appeared immediately. By 1901, the American Colonial Bank was the second largest bank on the island. By 1920, it was the largest bank, period. Also, by 1920, the majority of Puerto Rican farmers had lost their land to American, colonial, and other American banks that followed their footsteps, such as Bankers Trust and National City Bank. Much of this land would go to the American Sugar Refining Company, known as Domino Sugar, and by 1915, Governor Allen would become president of that company, which is not a coincidence. The massive loss of land and economic devastation suffered by the Puerto Ricans on the island especially Puerto Rican farmers, can be attributed at least partially to their inability to chart their own course or have any say on what was best for them and their island. Other laws would follow, such as the Jones Act in 1917, which would continue to add to the already miserable plight of the people on the island. In fact, for the first 50 years of U.S. rule, Puerto Rico was one of the poorest countries in the hemisphere. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Help us to spread this video by sharing. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more videos.